others to join us. I have the opportunity to inform us that truly, Bikudratillah, tonight's ALIM is going to be interactive. We pray to Allah to grant our Imam safe landing. He should be in the air by now. So, but inshallah, he promised that as soon as he is landing, if his phone is still on, he will join us, or join us as soon as he's able to get little power on his battery. So for that reason, we have to continue to interact among ourselves. For some weeks, we have been considering a particular topic that the Imam has been trying to expose for us. Though we have equally been interacting on that topic, but we have to interact deeper tonight. You might have been discussing growing all together with us. And I think for those of us who have been following the discussion all along, we discovered that for us to have complete and total development, we have to develop all our aspects of our life without leaving anyone behind. And for a family to continue to develop, the husband and the wife, without neglecting the children, we have to be developing together, all together. Any attempt for an individual to compartmentalize his or her life into spiritual, mundane, social, economic, political, and all the rest, without thinking that his or her life is a whole entity, there will be a kind of imbalance. It's like somebody driving a vehicle and a tire is not balanced. The whole vehicle will be shaking. There will be instability. It's an attempt for us too to neglect any aspect of our life will be detrimental to other areas or aspects of life that we focus on. In the same vein, if a spouse is interested in developing all alone, without considering the necessity of developing along all together with the other spouse, there will be friction, there will be discordant tone at the end of the day. That is a kind of the flow of the discussion since all these days. And we have to move forward. Tonight, we have a particular poster that we all have to respond to. One of the importance or essence of marriage is that marriage is supposed to serve as the best strategy to manage poverty and trauma in the life of a married person. Marriage is supposed to be the best strategy to manage poverty and trauma. But why is it not so for us? Why does it appear not to be working for us? This is the issue we are supposed to talk to. This is the issue we are supposed to continue to discuss till the Imam joins us, inshallah. So I am not a scholar. I am just to set the ball rolling, while I expect that all of us will contribute to this discussion as a continuation of our discussion on developing together, all together. So we are to discuss on why we think marriage has not been a source of managing poverty and trauma for us. So we are all supposed to participate and take active role. Tonight is for discussion. We pray to Almighty Allah to guide our thoughts and unite our minds. So brothers and sisters, enrich the discussion. Let us discuss. Marriage is the best strategy to manage poverty and trauma. Why does it appear not to be working for us? So let us read our digital hand and enrich this discussion. Let us read issues that we might eventually develop or address in the later days. We pray to Almighty Allah to guide us. So the floor is open. Assalamu alaikum. Are we all?
Wa alaikum assalam to Allah.
Yes, my brother. How are you, sir? So let us discuss. Marriage is supposed to be the best strategy to manage poverty and trauma. Why does it appear not to be working for us? What are our experiences? Comments, contributions? Yes, the ground rule is whoever has anything to contribute, let us raise our digital hand and right between to allow wide variation of opinion or contributions. Let us agree to spend 2-3 minutes maximum per person so that you can give room for as many people as possible for people. So 2-3 minutes. Raise your digital hand. If you have something to contribute, spend 2 to 3 minutes, inshallah. Yeah, Brother Suleiman Abdullah. On mute, I make the contribution, sir.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this privilege. We beseech Allah's peace and benediction upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask Allah to guide our hearts and tongue and assist us to benefit maximally from this discussion. My little contribution to this poser is taking an example of an event that the Prophet ﷺ went through and then comparing it to our own experiences vis-a-vis our contemporary challenges, which does not or makes it a bit challenging for us to be able to achieve these two very important virtues that marriage is supposed to give to us, and that is the experience of the Prophet ﷺ from the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Angel Jibril ﷺ to him in the cave of Hira. It was actually a traumatic experience for I know many of us must have read through the story. But what caught my attention actually as regards this poser is the fact that two things. When Allah SWT granted him mother Nana Khadija, she, by Allah's mercies, provided or allowed the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to use what Allah has blessed her with in terms of wealth for the da'ah. So in terms of being able to manage or derive the benefit of marriage being a way to get across poverty, in the life of the Rasul, our mother Khadija was a very good shock absorber in that regard. Then the experience he had with the angel, she was able to, the first point of contact or where he saw solace with was his wife, Nana Khadija. And when he got home, he was saying, Zamiluni, Zamiluni, we all know the story, and she was a point of succor. So the fact that Allah allowed her to use her wealth as a means of succor for the Rasul, and then the emotional shock absorber she also served when he went through such a traumatic experience, and she encouraged him, cannot be as, if we compare it to our own experiences these days, it's actually far wide apart. And because what comes to mind as regards reasons, the first is our type of education. We are not actually trained to be able to live life like those that came before us. So these days, it's the current economic challenges is pushing everyone, or those who allow themselves to actually be pushed, to want to do as much as possible to be able to earn as much as possible to be able to cater for our responsibilities. In the case of the Prophet ﷺ and our mother Nana Khadija, it was not entirely as such. So our education is one big challenge that is not making us get these two benefits from our marriages. And then also, okay, very close to it is also the way our society or upbringing has actually affected so many of us. If we look at our cultures growing up and so on, the way marriages is, the way we are being molded to look at marriages and the functions that marriages subside is not exactly as that. So that's why whenever we meet with the realities of our existence, whenever we come through, we face life challenges. First, our marriages are not the first point of succor for us to run to in terms of seeking asylum for our poverty generally, and then also for our what's it called, our emotional traumas that we face day in, day out. So our education, then our current, our bringing, the way we are brought up and so on. And of course, the current, the way we run life generally, which is very, very far different from those before us. So these are the few things that come to mind as regards why we are not actually benefiting. How are we going to get across this? We actually need to do more to continuously re-educate ourselves. Ustaz mentioned something about we improving and then our spouses not improving. And I think that was actually a point that hits so hard, because if we look at 5-10 years ago, how have we improved towards what we are now, and have our spouses actually also improved, whether in the deen or knowledge wise, or in terms of improving in being more tolerant or being more patient with our spouses. These are actually thinking points for us. Let me stop here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us better understanding. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan, brother. So further contributions. Comment, contributions. Comment, contributions. Yeah, Professor Norat. Please, Infinite Alt 8. Mute yourself, please. Yeah. Sister Norat Olamide, please unmute and make your contribution.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Let the host help us to mute this Infinite Alt 8 now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. My own is more or less like a little deviating a little from what the last person is talking about. I realized that most of us went into marriage with little or no experience. And then, just as the previous speaker said that our education, we already have individually had this fantasy of this is the ideal home. This is the ideal home. We read it in Islamic books, ideal Muslim husband, ideal Muslim wife. So based on that, and most of us that have read novels and all that, believe that this is the ideal marriage that we are expecting, or this is supposed to be the ideal husband. And the moment we get to the level of facing the reality, it becomes difficult for us to maneuver. Maneuver as in being able to readjust our psyche that since it's not working like this, can we try this? Most of the time when it happens like that, it's always like, it's the woman, the woman should obey her husband, the woman should do this, the woman should do that. So instead of at the point where both of us realize that this thing is not working out, instead of us working as a we now like, have to now. If she cannot adjust, let her go. So it's somehow like we were supposed to both adjust, but instead of us to now, both of us to come around and say, okay, these are things that we can do to make this relationship work out. More often than not, it is always left with the woman. Then one other issue that is, apart from the first thing I mentioned, one other issue that I think is making our marriages not to be like a solace to us is our ego. I am a woman. I believe I should be this, I should be that. Nobody should trample on my rights. I want all my rights fulfilled. But my responsibility, I left them. And when issues are raised, we will all be proving our points. I'm the one that is right. This is why I'm right, and so on like that. Likewise, on the other side too, the husband wants all his rights to be fulfilled. But the responsibilities, whether they are fulfilled or they are not fulfilled, he does not bother about it. So our ego is the second problem. The last, which is related to the first, is that we expect perfection, which does not exist. The woman is not perfect, the man is not perfect. But we are somehow idolize ourselves. Let me use that word. That is a malam, we understand Quran, is even a imam of our mosque. I don't expect him to make mistake. Or I expect him to know He's just doing it deliberately, even when the person is just acting just the way he is and the way he knows how to behave. We will not, we will like, this person is learned now, he's supposed to understand these things. Meanwhile, we are forgetting that there is nothing in life that you do very well without learning it. Those of us that are into trades, we know that before you go into any trade, you learn it. Where did we learn? Which school did we all attend to learn marriage? So it means that we, all of us, will have to, both of us, let me say, will have to work together to make sure that we are able to achieve the desired aim of the marriage. So these are the little things that could come to my mind. May Allah forgive the speaker and the listener.
I mean, exactly right, sister. Yeah, well, alhamdulillah, we thank you. We want more contribution, but let us bear our mind on certain things. One, what is our understanding of trauma? When we look at our society these days, what can we point to as the possible trauma that we can experience in our society? And how do we expect that under normal circumstances, a marriage should serve as effective means of managing this trauma? We can roll on that to how we think marriage can be used to manage poverty. For example, let me give you all this particular example. A brother was trying to encourage another brother to go into wedding. This thing I'm saying is over 20 years ago. So, and he gave a particular encouragement that kind of strike the brother that's been advised. What was it? That time, the brother A that was advising Brother B was calling the attention of Brother B to the fact that at that particular time, if Brother B should take 15 naira to the booker, he will finish the 15 naira and might not even be satisfied. He might not hit to his satisfaction. But Brother A told Brother B that, do you know that if you are married and you give your wife that 15 naira, 20 naira then was enough to make meme? And that meme will not be just one thing, will not be two things. It will be multiple. And 30 naira pap, echo them, will satisfy the man and his wife. Brother B reasoned along with Brother A that, look, it's true. If my wife should use 20 naira to buy beans and little ingredients and make my money out of with 20 naira out of the 15 naira and buy 30 naira echo, the two of them will hit to their satisfaction. Meaning that 15 naira then was enough to take care of the husband and the wife, relying on the wife. Whereas if the brother should take 15 naira to the booker, then he will hit with 15 naira, but he might not be satisfied. This might be a poverty management strategy in a home. Women are blessed to know how to handle the resources of their husband. If the husband encourages them and gives them all motivation to do that. And if a man refuses to do that, he might be spending more than enough money managing his life without success. So this is an example of how we can see marriage as strategy to manage poverty. So let us give more example and enrich. How do we think marriage can serve as strategy to manage poverty? And how do we think, what are the traumas in our present society? And how do we think? A brother Blaise made a very good example. When the Prophet suffered trauma by experiencing something he had never experienced, he ran back home into the warm arms of his wife, who assured him, covered him up, encouraged him, and motivated him to see that he was being called for a very important assignment by his creator, because according to Khadija, Muhammad was known to be good to his family, trustworthy. Allah couldn't have visited him with something negative. These are the experience, these are things we see in history, brothers and sisters. In our present time, how do we domesticate it? How do we make it happen? Why is it not happening presently? So, yeah, Brother Zafar Bakri. We cannot hear you. Am I the only one not hearing him? Brother Bakri.
You are not hearing him, please.
Barrister Bakri, we are not hearing you.
I think you need to unmute himself.
Hear me now, please.
Yeah, it is coming up. We pray it is
Assalamu
going to
alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. 3-5 minutes maximum.
Okay. On this topic, my view is that indeed, as Allah had promised, that the hand that spends is always on top. If you spend within the family, Allah will bless your undertakings. And if the two couple are together, they will be happy with what has been done and what has been provided. Now, as a man, we must learn to provide in the family. And the wife as well must show gratitude for what had been provided. It is not every time that one must complain. It is a means of poverty alleviation. Now, Allah said in the Holy Quran that women have been made leaders, not because of anything, but because we spend. Now, whenever we spend, Allah would put barakah in it. And you will come to realize that as the Prophet had said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that what is sufficient for one will be sufficient for two. But that would be if the two are contented with what they have. So marriage is indeed a means of poverty alleviation. Now, with respect to trauma, marriage will also serve as a means of managing trauma in our life, provided there is a communication between the couple. Whenever they communicate, then it will serve as a means of alleviating the trauma. Trauma is anything that comes negatively to either party in a marriage. And whenever it happens, all you need to do is to communicate. If you come home and the wife asks, how was the office today? You need to open up. A problem once shared is almost half solved. Then when you communicate in a marriage, then it will not be able to alleviate any trauma that one may be going through. So at every point in time, We must always learn to communicate and be open-minded. Now, we must also show appreciation and gratitude. It is also possible that Allah may will that is the woman that will have more than the man. If that is the case, then the man needs to show appreciation to the woman. Once he does that, it is not likely the woman will continue to nag. Having said that, I have this issue and I've looked around me and it had continued to bother me. When one becomes a widow, the kind of support you will get is enormous. But if it were to be the other way around, a widower, nobody will support him that much. Even if they support him at a point in time, the support will be stopped. Now, what has agitated my mind is that now you will see that a widower will always survive. The widow finds it tremendously difficult to survive. And one will come to observe that this same widow, this widow that is unable to survive on her own, a man in the same status in life with her is able to manage a home comprising of a wife and 1 or 2 kids. His contemporary or is somebody on the same pedestal as her, a man, is able to manage a home with his wife and the children. But that same woman who is on the same pedestal with that man earning the same salary will find it difficult to survive as a widow on her own. Why is that the case? I think, for my own understanding, it is simply because Allah blesses the hand that spends more, because it is ordained that the man should spend. Now, the woman finding herself in a situation where she has to spend now, find it difficult. And that is why you see them complaining all over the place. You hardly see a widower complaining as much as a widow complains in terms of expenses. Why is that the case? May Allah continue to ease all our affairs for us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khaira, barrister. We appreciate you, Allah reward you abundantly. So please, more points. Yeah, well, even in the chat room, we are not getting much. But I think in line with what Barrister said, one of the reasons people have given for our marriages not serving as effective way of managing our poverty and our trauma is that lack of that communication gap. People have equally identified selfishness or self-centeredness. True. What we observe in our community is that you will see a man who is not ready to allow his wife to even talk in the home, giving receptive ears to other women outside. For what a man will not tolerate from his wife, he will tolerate times 10 of it from other women outside. Why is it like that? A woman will respect nearly everybody outside. But when they get to the home, there is lack of respect for the husband. In fact, a woman that will even tolerate the insubordination of men who are lower than her in status outside is not ready to kind of hear instruction from the husband on the name of, you can't turn me to your slave. We have equal status in this marriage. So people have talked about selfishness and self-centeredness as part of the contributing factors to the inability of our marriages to solve the problems or address the problems they are supposed to address. They have equally talked about lack of cooperation among the couples. Everybody is going on his own lane. Everybody has their own agenda, personal. So this can equally be said to be self-centeredness or selfishness. Because once we come together, we are supposed to work as a team. And in a team, if partner fails to carry out the expected assignment or responsibility, the entire team will suffer. So, Alaja Juma Ali Oluwafuyi, please mute. So, Mr. or Mrs. Otun, you can unmute and make your contribution, please.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thanks for the
Alaja
opportunity.
Juma Ali Oluwafuyi, mute, please.
Thanks for the opportunity awarded. Mine is just a quick submission. I think I just have a point to make here to augment all what have been said so far. Well, for marriage to serve as a poverty elevation, as we're talking about it, I think one thing that is also missing is this. It still come to the issue of selfishness and self-centeredness, as we see in some men, which is, I mean, it's still common now. We see some men who fail to empower their women. You know, they fail to empower their wife. You know, and it's simply because they failed as well to understand the fact that our wives are pillars. Either you are into business or you are into career. So if you are into business, I think it's best thing for us to involve our wives and our children. Let them understand the rudiment of that business that we are doing. If you go to history, the way our babas used to do then, even for them to have been married 2, 3, 4, they empower all of them. They turn them to like wealth, so to say. So they work together, farming together, do a lot of things together. And the productivity then was massive, and everyone was enjoying, you know. So, but now these days, you see some men, they've made themselves as an idol. You know, we want to buy salt, they should come to me. We want to buy matches, come to me. You know, dad is not at home, home is not running. Failing to understand that if this man is not there anymore, what will be the condition of that family? Children will suffer, wife will suffer. No good man will have this kind of mindset of say, my wife should die before me. No good man will ever have that kind of mindset, you know, especially a loving husband. The way women, our wives, we hold family, you know, with kids, if we are not there, can never be the same way man we hold family if our wives are not there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spare our lives. You know, for us to have a better future of our family, especially our kids and even the family itself as a whole, we must empower our wives, not only in trade and businesses, even in their professional career, whatever they choose to do. We should empower them, support them for training, you know, the skill acquisition. We can sponsor a lot of, their academics. Pursue in such a way that they can advance their knowledge. You know, we can sponsor that. We can sponsor their training as well, be it locally, internationally, whatever be. So we should be able to go extra mile to empower them. That's just my submission. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakallah khairan, my brother. In fact, you have really hit the nail on the head. I am sorry to say this. Any man who refuses to empower his wife is endangering the future of his children. The common experience these days is that, I am not saying that is the rule, but it is very common that brothers die usually earlier than their wives. And a woman that is not empowered. We are not saying the woman should go and do government job or do anything. It can be trade. It can be that the woman will be rendering service. I have a daughter. She's into training of women in a lot of these drinks and snacks. She organizes training for them and she's comfortable. If a man refuses to empower his wife, he will only turn his children to beggars, to endangered species after his death. There's one thing we have to realize. A woman that will be nasty, that will nag, will naturally do that even if she is deprived. And a woman that will be submissive, even if she earns times 100 of what the husband is earning, she will be submissive. So for us to think that when women have money, they become uncontrollable is serious and deep misunderstanding of how things work. So if a man empowers his wife, you are securing your future. If Allah should call you to himself now, you are sure your wife will be able to take care of the needs of your children. Their education will not be abruptly ended. Their needs will be taken care of. None of them is going to be at the expense of another man who will be dangling peanuts to her, to molest her and abuse our children. So even if that is what we prepare for, and Allah makes it that we will both live till very advanced age, he still pays us. Because no matter, you see, the nature of women is that even when they have money, they want that blessing from you as their husband that you are giving to them. Even if you will give them something and they will add times 10 of it to sustain the home, they still want you to spend. And that is what Allah has ordained. The woman is expected to spend on the wife, Abima and Faku. It is because of what we spend on them that we are their pillar of support. They cherish it, they love it. Even when they are millionaires, they love the 10 naira, the 20 naira, the 50 naira, the husband they give to them. If you wanna think because you want to suppress the wife, he doesn't want the wife to be recalcitrant, to be disobedient, to be arrogant. The best weapon to use is to make her poor, to make her not to work, not to have any means of kind of empowering herself. That man should think twice, because if Allah makes it happen that the husband will be called to Allah, how do you think the woman is going to survive? We have seen a lot of instances of women whose husband died unexpectedly and without anything to rely on. No work, nothing. They suffer more than those who have little things they can rely on. May Allah give us long life and may Allah prosper us. Brother Brazak, Adedayo. So, come on board, sir.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah for today's discussion and the effort made so far. I appreciate all the contribution. My contribution is the one you said last. If by design, Allah makes the woman richer than her husband, what do we do? Because we have this kind of mentality as Yoruba man that we do not. It's not a wish. It is the destiny of Allah. Some women came by destiny. Allah gave them the riches over and above their husband. I want to tell you a story of a man whose wife is a multimillionaire and the man is not, doesn't have. However, the man is always in charge. All the cars the woman has, he take the list of them out. So the woman will not ask, this is what I'm confident with. But if we are going out together, we will take, if it's cheap, we will go together. But if it's going out alone, and he make sure that he give his widow's man every month as maintenance allowance. For a particular time, he saw a property that is that are ready to be sold. So the wife buy this property. The property was sold for 10 million. So I said, no. So I said, buy it. Eventually, he convinced the wife to buy. They bought the property, and the property was and then renovated with another 5 million, making 15 million. After the renovation, the bank approached them to lease the property for 10 years. They paid 20 million. And what is it? Have they made a gain or a loss? The woman add extra 5 million to her account, apart from the fact that the property is not even yet sold. After the end of the story, the bank offered to buy the property for 50 million. The woman I want to give the husband said, no, I'm not managing this property because of me, but because this wealth belongs to our family. So if you fail to manage it, all of us will be ruined. All of us will go back to the basis. And the children are better for it. So sometimes when the woman has, the woman may not have the capacity to manage that business as it's expanding. So the husband should be there for her. Just like if a man who has a series of business, like you are saying, a woman should be empowered to be part of it. Because when you are not there, other people will steal your money. Your wife will not. It's the family wealth that we should try to understand. And like we said, there's a saying that said, a poor man that marries a righteous woman lives in paradise. Conversely, a rich man that marries a disaster will live in hell, even upon his wealth. So we should look at our family and redefine our focus. The family issue is to manage trauma. When you're not around, so those of us who live alone, we know what it takes to live alone, to eat with our mouth every day and drop money at home. But when you get home, without much ado, you eat, you may even eat 3 times a day, may even be twice because of the happiness in your house. I think marriage is to manage trauma. Trauma is part of life. However, managing it requires an assistant, a complementary, somebody who is complementary your role at home, in your business, in your thinking, in your work. Sometimes you come home and report your oga to your wife. She will advise you appropriately. It happens to me. My wife came and said, I will write to your school. They came to apologize that they did something for her, and they said, tell them that I said, if they don't apologize, I'm going to sue them. The following day, they came and apologized to her. Because he said, look, I'm an administrator. I will not allow your image to be tarnished. This they have said is not true. And the guy came back, and so if she has kept it to herself, say, I didn't know what my husband would say. So we should open up this gap, communication, like lawyer said. Let's communicate within ourselves. Let our family be focused. Let's become one. It doesn't mean because you have only one wife. We have 2 or 3 wives and still be the best of husband. So the Islamic concept of marriage is to manage trauma, depression, to be managed within the family before it gets to stroke. May Allah continue to assist us and bless our family.
Well, maybe, probably, finally, as contributor to our sister Jamila and if Assalamu
alaikum wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to talk. And I say thank you to the contributors. We are discussing a very important topic here. Yes, marriage is the best strategy to manage poverty and trauma. So why is it not working for us? Although I came late to the meeting, to the program, I think I have heard some people talk. And I don't think I heard anything about technology and social media. The discussions I've heard, or the contributions I've heard today, seem to rally around individuals or some of us who are like maybe 40 years and above. So have we really thought about looking at the Generation Z children or our children of nowadays? So if we say marriage is the best strategy to manage poverty and trauma, do we or do the Generation Z children see that as important? Because for females nowadays, we have them all over social media. They are always there on Instagram, Facebook and the likes, and they are kind of exposed to whatever happens, even if it's a lie all over the internet. So for example, if a sister is married to a husband or to a brother, and the brother is kind of managing, but the sister sees so many things on social media, and she's kind of liking whatever she's seeing, like, okay, living a very good life. If she does not have a good knowledge of Islam, if she's not patient, if she's not having this kind of understanding about marriage, she's born to, she could make a mistake in such a marriage, because she will be expecting a lot of things, a lot of good things about this worldly life from the husband. And in such a situation, she is unable to manage poverty because she wants the best for herself. She's not considering what the man is making or the situation the man could be. So I think we will need to enlighten our kids, especially females. Yeah, males are not left out, but females in this situation, because I believe that females are those who handle situations well in marriages. So I think we need to enlighten our children, the females. We need to spend time with them. We need to be role models to them as well. How are we coping, or how are we doing in our families? Are we that kind of wife that nags? Are we that kind of wife that talks back to the husband? Are we that kind of wife that spends lavishly irrespective of whatever happens in the family, So if we are good role models to these children, if we enlighten them, if we put them on the path of Islam, and if we spend quality time with them, I think they will be prevented from seeing all those things and getting used to life on social media. So let's look at that from this perspective. And, we have a lot of work to do on these children of ours. I think that's the little contribution I'll have to say. Assalamu alaikum wa
Jazakallah, sister. Alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Well, alhamdulillah. Yes. We have just 3 minutes left to the normal time. But I have some things in the chat room. You can equally go through them. We want to appreciate our national coordinator. He has guided us that marriage is a teamwork. And for effective teamwork, there are certain phases the effective teamwork have. A team, we have the forming phase, when you are just forming the idea or the team spirit or the team goal or the team objective. Family too is a team. What are the goals? What are the objectives of the family? What are the strategic intents of the family? So after forming, you have storming. It's like the thing is growing. So there will be storms. You have to learn, you have to rise and fall, you have to crawl and fumble. Then there's the numbing phase. That is the third phase, and the performing phase or the working phase. Every family usually starts in a stormy way. At the beginning, you have to study yourself, understand your spouse. There are some behavior you bring from your background that marriage we have to normalize, and we have to modify. There are some things you take with levity before that you now see as big deal now in marriage. Your spouse sees it as big deal and you have to adapt. So, but once you are formed, you have to perform. Then you will see them like they are like twins. People that usually fight daily every day before, by the time the marriage is properly formed, they become like twin brother and twin sister. The life become entangled or interwoven. That one the other. So thank you, our national coordinator. As I equally talked about a successful team. A successful team, we have some team identity. Like a successful family, you have to have some identity. Like clarity. Why are we couples? Why are we husbands and wife? Is it just to enjoy ourselves? Is it just to raise children? Is it just to come and wine and dine in this world? Another thing is commitment. The commitment have to be mutual. There is usually a responsibility, there is usually duty assigned. As there are rights, there are duties that is assigned to every partner in the marriage. We have to show commitment. Even children have to show commitment to the family. So part of the commitment that the man is supposed to show is to spend on the family. And part of the commitment expected from the wife is to manage judiciously and sensibly the resources of the family. That is why it is a sin on a woman to give any item out in a family as sadaqah without the permission of the husband. The husband will get the reward, the wife will be committing sins. So all is that we have to manage resources. We are all shepherd. And in the definition of a woman, the woman is a shepherd. Allah is going to ask her concerning how she manages the property of her husband and her personal self. So the third identity is contribution. All the parties involved have to make contribution. I will not add sacrifices. They have to make sacrifices. Even in argument, in this misunderstanding, there should be sacrifices. Let us look at the life of the forerunners in faith. When Umar and Abu Bakr were having misunderstanding and they went to the prophet, none of them was trying to prove that he was right. Each of them was just begging the prophet, help me to appeal to my brother, help me to tell my brother to forgive me. That was how it was ended. So then the fourth identity is concerns, and the last and the fifth, according to the contribution of our national coordinator, is communication. Communication is key. And that is why I will now want to kind of say finally that trauma can be managed through empathy. We have to be empathetic to ourselves. It appears as if spouses these days live like enemies. We don't have feelings, we don't have kind of concern for ourselves. When something happens to you and you get, sorry, even when you know that thing is not a big deal now, sorry, and all the whatever. So I might equally be guilty. When your wife comes home and says is disturbed, the hell level will follow. I don't need to sell it. Even when you know it is big deal. See the way the prophet was pampered by his wife. When somebody saw something I've never seen in life, terrified, and the wife told, that one a small thing now. Allah couldn't have meant evil for you now. Just calm down. But rather than calming our spouse down, you say, you know, you want stop this unnecessary. To manage trauma, we have to show a lot of empathy to ourselves, not to our spouses alone, or even to our children. But unfortunately, I keep on saying, these things will manifest to outsiders. Why is it so difficult for us to manifest to people we have kind of enter into agreement to live our life together for better, for Allah assist all of us. So, national coordinator.
Imam is around now. Imam is there.
Yeah, okay. Imam, you are welcome, sir. Barika Dezua.
Thank you.
So,
thank you very much. Alaikum salam. Thanks for holding forth. Just landed, and I struggled to join before it all ends. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Once again, I thank Allah on behalf. I thank everybody that heard forth. I really didn't know what was discussed, but I can imagine that it was quite a refreshing session. I guess also that our emphasis was on trauma. marriage as a strategy to manage trauma. There's a question that I want us to
Poverty
go
and trauma,
on.
sir. Poverty and trauma.
Poverty and trauma.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a question I want us to go on with so that next week, inshallah ta'ala, we can address it. We show this to outsiders. We show love, we show sympathy, empathy to outsiders. Why is it difficult to show this to people that we swore to live our entire life with? It is quite easy for people really to be so nice, especially men. They are nice to women outside their marriage and not quite nice to their own wives. Can a question, is it difficult to show love to our spouses? Are we really not taking ourselves for granted? Whereas indeed, there is no woman that doesn't need to show love to. And there is no age where a woman will no longer need to see love being shown to her. Why is it difficult to show love that we share outside with our spouses? Sometimes some men get into trouble because they care so much for outsiders, and their wives get to know this, and they wonder why the care for outsiders does not extend to them. On this note, I want to thank everybody once again. I want to appreciate you all. I ask Allah to preserve us on khairat and make it possible next week in prosperity, in love, in happiness. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. ومن هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام
Imam,
على
sir.
المرسلين.
Imam, sir.
Now,
One of your daughter is ending Aida today. The wife of
he's doing
Dr.
what?
Abro. Aida is ending today. The wife of Dr. Abraouf Adegbite
Adigbite.
That died.
pray for her and the
Oh,
children.
mashallah. We ask Allah to be with her forever, to preserve her, to preserve her children, to make us meet in Al-Jannah, and to continue to show kindness to the family. We thank Allah for making it easy for us to complete this, and we ask Allah to show His favor, His mercy, and kindness to our sister. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله
Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakumullah khairan. Till next week, inshallah. Salam.
We're going to meet again, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Haji Abdul Razak.
Ẹ kú ni o. Ọlọ́run máa ṣọ́ yín o.